The Deca VR headset was something a few months ago came out of nowhere and sorta enticed, excited, and made some people skeptical of this brand new company that was promising a lot of features for a brand new VR headset. In my hand, I have the DecaMove, which is a planned accessory to be included with the Deca Gear 1 VR headset. This is my review of this little product. This very simple product, to be completely honest, after having about 30 hours of intensely using it. First, I want to explain what this little device is. It is a device that connects via Bluetooth using a giant dongle that comes with it. Look at this thing. This is Bluetooth. And it also comes with its own software suite. So what is the point of this device? Well, I think this is where people get the most information about this little device. It is not a hip tracker. I would call it more of a hip orienter. Basically what it allows is for more natural locomotion in VR games that use joystick movement or artificial locomotion. Usually VR games have kind of two choices of which way you can orient yourself, either based on your head or based on your hand. So in a VR game where you choose the headset locomotion, wherever your joystick is pointing straight and your head is moving, the locomotion will go toward to wherever your head is pointing. It's very similar as well with the hand locomotion. Wherever your hand is pointing is where the full frontal joystick, that's kind of a weird way to say it, the full frontal joystick locomotion will point wherever your hand is. However, of course, in real life, we actually go where our hips are pointing, not really where our hand or his head. I mean, we can still turn our head, we can still move our arms, and because our hip is still pointed forward, our legs will still go forward. This device is not, I repeat, is not a replacement for one of these. Full body tracking requires a hip tracker and 2 feet at the bare minimum. And people think that this device can act as a cheaper version as a hip tracker for full body tracking, but that is not. This is purely for locomotion. So if you want to do full body tracking and hip locomotion, you need to wear both. A majority of my testing has been in VR chat because I wanted to make sure that this was compatible with a lot of other Steam VR devices. This is Steam VR supported right out of the box. It even shows up in the Steam VR status window once you plug in / install the Deca Gear software, whatever it's called. Deca Hub. The Steam VR support is actually very well done. I actually think is where most of the cost of the device was kind of put into the R&D for the software. We'll get to that later when we talk about whether it's worth to buy this. But it has a lot of great indicators in Steam VR that you can turn on or off just by pressing the button on the Deca Gear itself. If you look near your feet while you're in Steam VR, you'll see a circle as well as a battery life indicator for the DecaMove that sort of tells you what the current calibration for where your hips are pointing according to what the device thinks. And by the way, this device works great. It works exactly as it's intended, perfectly. Well, there's a few things I want to bring up. I had one annoying little bug once in a while where when I would open up a program, especially VR chat, and sometimes my joysticks just wouldn't let me move. I ended up fixing this by a small little workaround fix by switching between different bindings in Steam VR, and for some reason that would let me actually move. So that's probably more of a binding bug that will be very easily fixed in a software update to either Steam VR or maybe the Deca suite. But this did not happen every time, but I still want to bring it up. Also, sometimes I like to play long hours of VR, but I want to sit down and take a break. I think this thing might have a built-in battery save operation where it'll just turn off automatically. It's a very small thing because it's very easy to turn back on when you stand up, but I would personally like the choice of where to not do that when I sit down in my chair just for like a couple minutes, especially since the actual battery of this device is very long lasting. Yeah, I don't even know how big the battery is. Clearly it's a very low power operation. It's using Bluetooth low energy, and the actual orientation's using magnetic fields, which again is not very energy intensive, but still Yeah, I have to praise its battery life. I've not had to charge it once since I've got it and used it for 30 hours. I still have 50% left. So that is very good. Of course, your mileage may vary with any product. I don't need to talk about the build quality because this is a pre-production model. This is already 3D printed with a very fancy 3D printer, I can tell, but it works great. It has even vibration motors built into it that give you a little bit of a haptic sense when you're turning it on or when you even calibrate it. So calibration is a little tricky for me at first, and I kind of figured out why. So to calibrate this device, you're supposed to look completely forward and have your hands by your hips pointing forward. That is exactly what the instructions say. For a while, I just literally could not figure out how to calibrate this thing. This is definitely a user error, but let me explain why I had so much trouble figuring this out. So when it says hands forward, and you're using the knuckles controllers, you're doing this. Where's my hands? Forward, right? Well, the issue is they actually want your controllers forward. So when you do this to the calibration, you actually have to tilt your hand this way, like kind of unnaturally. Well, not unnaturally, but it does not connect with your brain as obviously. So your controllers have to point forward, not your hands. And it took me a little bit to actually realize that. It was just sort of a random brain moment when I finally did figure it out. But yeah, once I figured it out, very easy to calibrate. And honestly, for me, I've never had to calibrate very often. Despite all the heavy use, including doing a lot of like heavily dancing, and even throwing this thing across the room as hard as I can to check build quality, and then just placing it right back on the same place on my hip, and it still kept the calibration. So that's pretty good. How is the immersion factor having hip supported movement? Well, Deca Gear themselves have been telling everyone that once you start using this device or using hip-based locomotion, you will never want to go back to the old ways. I agree with that, actually. I 100% agree, and I use this as much as I can. I mean, I've only played 30 hours of VR. I've only played 30 hours of VR for the week I've had it, and I've always used it. Always, because I like it. I like that orientation. I've always never liked the different options for head or controller movement, but I like this a lot. However, the actual worth of the device by itself, I am very glad that I was a bit later than other YouTubers to put out this review, or at least review the device, because a lot of videos, we were not getting information on what the price may be for this device standalone. Of course, it will be coming with the Deca Gear headset, which is now not even being available for pre-order anymore. They hit their maximum for how many people they want pre-ordering the device at 450, which will include this, which is very responsible and very good. I'm very happy they did that. But now we know the actual price of this alone. And on the website, it says $69 for just this. Now, it is a great device. I love it. I'll always use this. I will always use this. However, would I have bought this if it was $69 after trying it? For me, no. That is not too far off from buying something like a Tundra tracker or a HTC Vive Puck. Well, Brad, you just said they're nothing alike. Well, what's the big deal with that? Why are you saying that this is not a replacement for a hip tracker, yet you're saying you would rather buy one? Well, this is very simple technology. I'm going to be honest. You are paying for the software that allows it to work very well with Steam VR and every other game and any other game that they want to support in the future. The hardware is very simple, but it's good. However, I've been talking to a lot of people, and we kind of all agree on one thing. Why can't something like this on your waist do the same thing as this? Well, the issue is, I think it's all software. Like, this could literally have its own sort of way to, for VR games to sort of use this on your hip as the same way as this for locomotion. It's just no one's cared enough to do it. If anything, because this uses Steam VR tracking rather than magnetic impulses, this would be more accurate if it had a little software addition, either by a mod or like a third-party application, to allow this to also do the same thing as this, as well as being a hip tracker as well. Which goes to show that, if anything, The company that is making this product, which is Megadodo or Deca, whatever you want to call them, they do know what they're doing. They truly know VR, and I truly do believe that they came across this problem when they were developing their own VR game. I truly believe that story now. I know that they wanted something more natural for locomotion, and they started building hardware. This device, if anything, shows to me that we can at least know that the company knows what they're doing. While the device may be expensive, it is a very good device. I like it. I just think it needs to be a little cheaper. But it coming with the Deca Gear 1 headset, this will be a great addition. I really hope that other manufacturers kind of look at this product and start thinking, very simple device, very easy, very smart. We need to start figuring out ways to implement it to our VR headsets as well. So that's pretty much it. I like it. I am very excited. I've been saying this since they pretty much announced it for the Deca Gear 1 headset. I have a pre-order for that device in. I'm hoping I'll get an early unit. I mean, we'll see. But yeah, I believe in them a little bit. I think they've shown a lot. Maybe my enthusiasm and optimism has actually increased since the Tundra Tracker Kickstarter started 2 days ago and has tripled its goal. And has even announced very responsible measures such as making people understand for the Tundra Tracker Kickstarter that they may close it early if they get too many orders due to the fact that there's a lot of chip shortages and stuff. So there's been a lot of trustworthy stuff going on in the VR industry from the new players that are popping in. So maybe that's sort of clouding my judgment a little bit. I don't know. Anyway, that was the DecaMove Blogger Edition. If you enjoy my hardware reviews, I spend a lot of time thinking about my hardware reviews before I make a video, then get excited for the future ones. I've been promising for a while I'll be doing the bHaptics vest, but I ended up ordering more bHaptics stuff so I can do a better review. So if you're still waiting on that, that's kind of what I'm waiting for now. I wanted to get the face for the bHaptics so I can shoot myself in the face and feel that. We also have this review coming up very soon. This is the Vive facial tracker, and yeah, that'll take some time for sure because I also am 3D printing a mount for my Valve Index since I don't have a Vive Pro because that's a pretty old headset these days. Bye.